So starting as we always do by checking in. With the legs straight, and that may not be for long if that creates discomfort in the low back. And that does tell us something about the tension of the hip flexors or jamming the low back together. And then I invite you just go ahead and bend up your knees. We just want to get a little bit of idea of, am I listing to one side? And also, how much space do I have behind my low back? Am I more towards the tailbone on the sacrum or towards the top? If I've rolled more towards the tailbone, I'm already in an arch, and that may again signify tightness across the hip flexor. But if I am more towards the top, more flat, then I may have some tightness in my lower abdomen. If I'm listing to one side, that tells me that one side is either tighter than the other, more tension, or that I have a spinal rotation. So we are studying our equipment as much as we are resetting it once we come onto the back. And as always, I invite you to slide a pillow or blanket under your head if your chin does draw back, keeping your shoulders and the back of your neck elongated and relaxed. We'll start by placing our hands on the lower abdomen. So with the knees bent up, just notice the breath as it flows in and out. Notice how much the belly expands. And once you drew your awareness to it, maybe you were able to shift into a more expansion of the belly and get the diaphragm on board a little bit more. Additionally, nose breathing facilitates our oxygen and CO2 exchange in our body to be at the right balance. Mouth breathing, we skip the sinuses entirely, can often lead to what's called over-breathing, sometimes shallow breathing, but we end up with too much oxygen in our system, and we may feel anxious, lightheaded, panic attacks. This also causes more tension, and our blood pressure can rise. So simply switching to nose breathing, belly breathing begins to reverse these systems into a healthier and homeostatic state. As you exhale, can you elongate the out breath? You'll take the breath in as we do. We're now on the out breath. Is there a little bit more breath to squeeze out right at the top of the exhalation? Letting the breath flow in again. And then that extra out breath, belly contracts down. So we're beginning to initiate the flatten though without moving the skeleton. Right now it's just the breath. The skeleton is still. If you often or sometimes feel that knot in the belly, the vagus nerve, the wandering nerve, might be responsible. It has a lot to say to the brain. It's the longest nerve in the body. So we're working with that too in our somatic work, getting a tone on this. It helps regulate all our digestive organs. So that's why we often have an upset stomach When we are physically or emotionally upset, is what I should say, we become physically upset too. The heart rate speeds up. If we are upset, the vagus nerve is partly responsible for that too. And then on the next in-breath, let's begin to add the arch. And start gentle, contracting the low back. And if you know that your hip flexors likes to help out, just maybe slide your hands down to the front hip groin so that you can be aware if that is a habitual movement, so that they stay soft and quiet as you arch. Releasing back to neutral as slowly as you can. Do it one more time. Muscles are contracting, facilitating the arch, not too much, not too little. And slowly release. We'll take a breath in for nothing. And let's exhale and move into the flattening. I invite you to draw the pelvic floor up. And then slowly release to neutral. Let's take a full breath in and out. And inhale, arch. Belly expands. We exhale and float back to neutral. Breath in for nothing. And exhale, flattening. Good idea to take a hand onto the belly. Is it pulling down and hollowing out as you flatten the back? Slowly release. Buffer breath. Let's do it again. Inhale and arch. And then release the contraction. Buffer breath in and exhale, flattening. Now, something that I've observed is some people like to use their glutes to flatten. And the glutes are an extensor, not a flexor. So again, another compensatory movement pattern. So are you pressing your feet into your floor to flatten, or are you using your lower abdominal muscles? Buffer breath. In and out. One more time, following your breath through the whole bit. So this, the first one here, is the basis for all of the other movement. And the slower we move, the more we are able to reset the motor cortex. We don't have access to movement that our brain has forgotten. So what we are looking here is to as much wake up those neural connectors in the brain, so when called upon, they are there. After the full round, we'll take the hands behind the head. And we'll do the arch and curl. Inhale, arch. And exhale, flattening, using the belly. And then curling up. Now keep the elbows out. I'm not taking them in today. Now we feel the contraction along the whole front line. Keep the back down as you slowly lengthen out. Lengthen it out. Head comes down. Everything pulls. So a huge neural complex right there in the middle. our communication from the gut to the brain is 9-1. So guts clearly has a lot to say, but are we listening? Inhale, expand the belly. And exhale, flatten, contract, and then lift. And then lengthening out as you lower the head back down. Buffer breath. One more time. Arch and flatten. Head and shoulders curl up. We can feel the sternum, the ribs pulling down towards the hips. And then slowly lengthening out. Literally lengthening out the vagus nerve. Buffer breath in and out. And now let's take the left knee in, holding it in for the diagonal. Arch and curl. Inhaling and arch. Exhale, flatten and curling up diagonally. Right elbow and shoulder travels and then goes back home. Everything cools, buffer breath. This is our reset button. And on the next in-breath, let's arch again. Exhale, flatten and curling up. Unwinding back. Sensing the whole journey in and out. Being present. Shine the light on the action. One more time. This is one of the reasons it can be helpful to just close your eyes as you practice. Then you feel, oh, that's the muscles contracting. As you unwind, that's the muscles releasing. Let's release the left leg. And before we switch arms, just check in with the breath. So my arms are just resting out to the side. I just want to sense. How does it feel across my trunk? If you break the trunk up into 4 pieces, 2 lower, 2 upper, can you sense that there may be more space in some of those 4 quadrants? And now let's take the left knee in. Left hand behind the head. Inhaling an arch. Exhale, flattening, curling up. And we float back home. Buffer breath. The obliques are fascinating. The lower and the upper, inner and outer. Inhaling in. Arch. Exhale, flatten, curling up again. The upper one pushes us into it. The lower one pulls us into it. So they work together. Unless they don't, of course. If one set has said, nah, I'm good, which is not uncommon with the trauma reflex. So notice, is one side easier to twist to than the other? One more time, inhaling an arch. Exhale, flatten, curling up. And releasing. Release the right leg. Slide the legs out. Pause. Checking in with the 4 quadrants. They feel even. And then with as little effort as possible, let's roll over onto the belly for the back lift. So let's take the right hand behind, under the cheek, left hand down alongside. So we're going to do the big Lebowski right out of the gate. Let's take a breath in and out. And when you're ready, inhale, lift the arm, right arm, left leg. Slowly release. Buffer breath. When you're ready, let's do it again. Lifting, right arm, left leg. And slowly release. Everything pulls. And one more time. Lowering down. And then press your right forearm down. Take the left arm up. Replace it and take the right down. And I'm going to spin about so I can maintain my watchful eye on you. And the next in-breath, lifting left arm, right leg, and releasing down. Buffer breath. Again. Lifting and lowering. Study the firing order. Does the contraction start at the middle and then spreading out? Or do you lift out without contracting the middle? Pressing the hips down can be helpful. Getting the low back on board, and then we lift when you're ready. So we create these compensatory movement patterns in our bodies. This works for a little bit, but long-term, not ideal. Let's take the right arm back up. Tuck the toes under. Press the heels back, and then press the forearms down and lift. Heels are pressing back. We draw the belly button up towards the heart. And slowly releasing down. That puts a nice stretch on the vagus nerve. We should do that again. Tuck the toes under, creep them to the nose. Press the heels back and lift the heart, lift the head, draw the belly button up. So the whole front seam lengthens. And lowering down. Now let's stretch the left arm overhead and then roll onto your left side for the side curl. We'll bend the knees up 90 degrees, so that's our 90-90. to place my hand at my waist for this one because that way I know my inner oblique is helping out. Let's take a breath in for nothing. And then exhale, lift the foot, keeping the knees together. And slowly releasing down. So you guys are all seasoned practitioners. Can you remember the first time you did this one? And how different it is now? Do you have more access today? Breath in for nothing. And again, lifting. Can we maintain what the Buddha called the beginner mind? Like we've never done it before, so that we don't succumb to the habitual movement patterns, but really like this is a brand new event. That's not easy. Breath in for nothing. And then again, lifting. And slowly releasing down. And we'll put the headband on. Adding our upper event. And we'll just keep the foot. So we are going right in again. Take a breath in for nothing. And exhale, foot and head. So pretend you have a third arm in your waist, still contracting. And slowly releasing down. Buffer breath. Breath in for nothing. And again, contract, start at center, and then let it spread outwards. Buffer breath. Breath in for nothing. One more time. And releasing. And then we'll slide the hand behind the head for the diagonal event. Rolling your right shoulder towards the floor. Take your left arm out in front. And again, you can support your head. Always take care that you are not in a state of discomfort in the beginning. Now inhaling, a little diagonal arch. And then exhale, side flattening, curling up, leaving the legs as they are, but curling the ribs towards the hips. Now you can't absolutely add the legs, but it can add a lot of stuff to keep track of. Now lowering the head down, unwinding. Buffer breath. Inhaling, arch. Exhale, side flatten, curling up. And slowly finding our way back out. Buffer breath. Everything cools in between. And then arch again. Exhale. Flatten, curling up. Is it smooth and easy? Or is there some jumps and jitters in the transmission system? Once you come down, sliding the legs out, and come onto your back. Just come onto your back and pause. Closing your eyes. And then sense the outline of your right half and your left half. Sense the sensations in the right half and in the left half. What's different? And then we'll roll over onto the right side. Again, I'll place my hand in my waist. And take a breath in for nothing and exhale, lifting. Yep. Muscles are contracting. And then slowly release. Buffer breath. Breath for nothing. Contracting. Do you feel the contraction even before the foot is lifted? So that we initiate with the contraction. And then that becomes a pulley for the lever. Again, breath in for nothing. Does this side feel the same? Is it easier? Or does it need a little bit more encouragement? If this is your easy side, then start on this side when repeating. Let that teach your other side how to do it. Let's take the arm overhead. And we'll put the two together. Top and bottom. Breath in for nothing. And exhale. Start in the middle. And lengthen out in the middle. And again, breath in for nothing. And contract. Buffer breath. On the next out breath, contract, lift, muscles firing. It's the most amazing thing, isn't it? How we can put tension on these rubber bands and then release it again. At will. Rolling the left shoulder towards the floor, slide the right arm up in front. So the diagonal side curl. Inhale, arch. And exhale, flatten. And then let's drop diagonal. And slowly releasing down. Offer breath. Arching. And side flattening. Curling up. And releasing out. Offer breath. One more time. Arch. Flatten. Curling up. And releasing out. Gently, minimal effort, traveling onto the back again. Pausing. What does that feel like? Notice how your sacrum is resting now. The low back. The legs. Let's bend up the knees. And then so the hip slides and presses. All the ones that we pour into the pelvic clock and the circles. And they are interesting because, again, with compression in the lumbar spine, how to support that. So think, again, using the information from the arch and flatten, keeping space. So let's start just with a gentle flattening of the spine. And then draw the right hip up towards the right shoulder. And then letting go. In many ways, similar to the action that we just did in the side curl. Re-engage, draw the right hip up. Yet, this time the foot is still, so not involved. So how is this different? How is this the same? And keep the spine gently flattened. Now draw the right hip down, away, and then let it slide up. Sliding down. So the focus, the mind is oriented on the right hip sliding down. With the pelvis being the lazy Susan, just turning from side to side. And then pausing at neutral. And breathing in and out. Notice your lower abdominal quadrants, left side, right side. And let's do the other side. Left hip slides up. Releases to neutral. Sliding up again. Releasing. Make it easy. Smooth. Again, maintain that gentle flattening of your low back so that you're dialing right at the center of the sacrum. Is this side easier or harder? And let's move in the opposite direction. Left hip draws down and back. Pulls down and back. So again, the focus, the activation is the left hip pulling down. But for me, because I'm right side dominant, my brain just jumps right over to my right hip. But I'll just pull that up instead, because clearly your access to your left hip going down is lacking. I go, no, I'm going to keep my awareness, retrain my left hip to do the job. I appreciate the right side wants to help out, but that just keeps my left hip in the dark, lacking access. And now let's come to neutral and just let that go. And then press the right hip into the floor. And then let that go. Again, start with a gentle flattening of the back so you're on the center of the sacrum. I'm just pressing the right hip into the floor. Deep muscle activation. Feel the contraction. And feel the release of the contraction. Do it one more time. And lift the right hip up and lower it down. Lifting up. And it's not going very far. And down. How is this different? The activation again starts in the middle. Letting that go. And we're going to go to the left side. Again, slightly flattening of the back, and then press the left hip down. And let go. Now you can place your hands on your lower abdomen, and you can feel left side pressing down. Or rather, you can feel if it does move down. Again, it's not a huge movement. And as the left side presses down, the right has to go up, but it's just a passive event. It's not pulling up. It's just following along. What sensations does this incur? Let's move in the opposite direction. Again, keep the slightly flattening as you lift the left hip up and lower down. easier or a little bit more challenging, maybe. And then let's let that go. And I think we are ready for the pelvic clock. So today I invite you to flip the clock dial around. Again, just to shake it up a little bit. So instead, I often instruct the clock dial up towards the heart for 12 o'clock and 6 at the tailbone. But today, let's take 12 o'clock at the tailbone and 6 o'clock at the sternum. Just to keep it interesting. So bending up the knees. Marble in the belly button. Check. And then inhale, let's roll the marble to 12 o'clock. And to 3 o'clock along the rim of the clock dial. So roll it back up to 12. Easy, smooth movements back and forth between 3 and 12 o'clock. Keeping the eyes closed if it feels safe. This is not simple. We have to coordinate a lot of bits and gears to get this one going. Next time you come up to 12, roll the marble back into the belly button. Pause. Then rolling it to 6 o'clock. That feels like a flattening to me. Now I'm going to go out to 3 and 6. Back and forth. And then go ahead and sweep it all the way up to 12 from 3. So now we're going to sweep the whole, that'll be the right side of your clock dial. Is it smooth and easy? And next time you get up to 12 o'clock, let's roll it into the belly button and pause. Everything pools. And then let's begin to explore the other side. Go back to 12, to 9, 12 again, to 9. Don't use your feet, use the muscles in the middle. So the knees stay relatively still. That's one way that we can check in that it's a middle movement. At 12, gonna go back to the belly button, a little interlude, breath, And then rolling it to 6 o'clock. To 9. How is this side different from the right side? We don't use the two halves of our bodies the same for various reasons. We have a dominant side, but also we may have had injury, surgery on one side that has changed how we communicate with these body parts. And then continue to sweep it all the way up to 12 for 9. Back through 9 to 6. Next time you take it up to 12, continue all the way around 3, 6, to 9, 12, one more time, all the way around. And reverse, counterclockwise. And when you go in the opposite direction, is that easier? Or does it demand a little bit more concentration? Maybe there's some jumps and jitters. So we gather information. One's back at 12. Roll the marble into the belly button. And put it in your pocket. Slide the legs out. Pause. Bend up the knees. The last one today is the blooming flower. I think it's just a really cute one. Draw the knees together. Take your arms out to about 45 degrees. So not all the way up from the shoulders, not all the way along the hips, but sort of midway in between. And we'll start with the flattening here. Take a breath in, arch the low back. Now exhale, flattening, roll the arms down towards the hips. Press the back of the arms against your side body. And inhale, let the arms roll back out again to where they started. Buffer breath. We'll do that again. Take a breath in for nothing. And exhale, roll the arms in so the shoulders are lifting up, chin maybe poking up, hands and arms presses into the side body, legs squeeze and exhale. Inhale and release. We should do that one more time just for good measure. Inhale for nothing. Exhale. Roll the arms in. Press them against the side body. Press the legs together. And inhale, releasing out. The other half of the movement is the in-breath, arm rolling up. So as you inhale, next arch, roll the arms upward. So they won't slide all the way up to the shoulders, but they roll up a wee bit. And then as I exhale, they just release back where we started. We'll do that again. Inhaling, roll the arms up, arching. So the shoulders are now pressing into the floor. And releasing. Putting these two together. Start with a breath in for nothing. Then exhale, flattening, roll the arms in, pressing them against your sides. Inhaling, arching, rolling the arms out. And exhale, release back to our starting point. Let's do that one more time. Starting with a breath in for nothing. And exhale, flattening, rolling the arms in, shoulders in. And inhaling, drawing right into the arch, rolling the shoulders down, arms upward, and release. Sliding the legs out long. Let there be a sense of your body is breathing you. Sensing your body. And then wiggling fingers and toes. Bend up the knees. And maybe rock the knees from side to side. Rolling all the way over onto one side. Using your arms and hands to press in. And we are back. Thank you for allowing me to share your practice today. Namaste.